Corridor wars in global geopolitics. The 18th G20 summit in New Delhi was a big win for India's diplomacy. The leaders of the 20 major economies couldn't make any tangible progress on key goals of the bloc, but they did produce a formal communiqué that garnered unanimous support from all participants. It was a complete surprise because it looked next to impossible a few days before the summit that the bloc could agree on a joint declaration given the stark divergences of the summiteers on the Ukraine war. A careful reading of the Delhi communiqué shows that the Western nations made a compromise to ensure India scores this diplomatic victory. They acquiesced to a diluted language in reference to the Ukraine war. President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the launch of India-Middle East Europe Economic Corridor. IMEC, a multibillion-dollar infrastructure and investment project that would enhance movement of trade and services to transit to, from, and between India, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, and Europe. The IMEC turned out to be the biggest takeaway from the G20 summit. If the IMEC is all about expansion of India's geo-economic outreach, then why would the US and its allies cheer it as a game-changing regional investment? Because they have been projecting India as a counterweight to China, which, they believe, is trying to threaten the rules-based world order. The project's primary objective appears to be America's attempt to undercut China by projecting India as the leader of the global South. Secondly, the US could also be using the IMEC to reassert its weakening role in the Middle East, where China has made successful inroads. Now, the US is using the IMEC to offset the Chinese move by negotiating peace between Riyadh and Tel Aviv in an attempt to again isolate Tehran. Since the end of Cold War, the US has been cobbling up alliances of like-minded nations for geopolitical objectives. India is a part of or at least supportive of these alliances, especially of the ones coalesced to challenge China in the Indo-Pacific region. India is a member of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, QSD, commonly known as Quad, a strategic security dialogue between Australia, India, Japan and the United States. Quad, dubbed Asian NATO by Chinese security experts, is propelled by the overlapping interests of its members to deter Beijing from challenging the status quo in South China Sea. Similarly, India has also been invited to join AUKUS, a trilateral military alliance of Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States against China. India's embrace of the corridor is driven by its overambitious geopolitical objectives and geo-economic interest, but Delhi has neither resources nor expertise to undertake such a gigantic infrastructure development undertaking. The IMEC's fate may not be different from the previous such initiatives because it is primarily driven by the strategic imperative to counter China using bloc politics, rather than by a true desire for synergizing cooperation. Subscribe Defense Matters.